Now, we move on where we talk about how the Philippines faces immense challenges when it comes to natural disasters with frequent earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, and powerful typhoons. Now, despite these challenges, innovative solutions are emerging to improve disaster preparedness and resilience. Filipino scientists and innovators are at the forefront of developing advanced technologies to help communities better understand and assess, as well prepare for these hazards. At the upcoming 50th International Exhibition of Inventions in Geneva, Ms. Mabelline Cahulogan, the officer in charge of the Geology and Geophysics Research and Development Division at PHIVOLCS, will be presenting groundbreaking innovations such as the HazardHunter PH and GeoAnalytics PH platforms. Now, to discuss these disaster risk innovations, we are joined today via Zoom by Mabelline Cahulogan. Good morning. It's a beautiful day. Thank you so much. I felt like I said a mouthful introducing what you'll be talking about in Geneva. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Hello, good morning.
All right, so
Thank you for inviting me.
no worries, but it's so great to have you here. First of all, can you tell us a bit about yung role niyo po sa PHIVOLCS DOST and of course the main objectives of the Geology and Geophysics Research and Development Division?
So I'm a geologist and I work under the Geology and Geophysics R&D division. Our task is mainly to map geological hazards brought by earthquake and volcanic eruptions, and that would include ground rupture, liquefaction, tsunami, and others. For volcanic eruptions, we map lahar, lava, pyroclastic density currents, and others. We are also a part of a team that produces innovative solutions to communicating the information that we have generated. So that's the reason why HazardHunter PH and GeoAnalytics PH were developed. So for HazardHunter PH, one just needs to go to the HazardHunter platform. It's at hazardhunter.georis.gov.ph, and one just has to double tap or double click a location on the map or put in a Google search bar, which is integrated in the system, the location of the area that they want to assess. And all the hazards information and assessment will be given them at a second or two, depending on the internet connection. So this is very crucial for planning purposes and for investment purposes. For HazardHunter PH, it's not just confined to the hazards that we are generating, but it also shows information related to hydromet hazards, including floods and rain-induced landslide, and as well as severe wind and storm surge. Those hazards information are generated by our national agencies, namely PAG-ASA and as well as MGB. So the process really in developing the system is a whole of government approach, which we really need at the moment so that the public and other sectors of society will be able to access information right at their fingertips in just one platform.
It feels that this
For
is...
GeoAnalytics,
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, for GeoAnalytics PH, the main target for this would be local government. And for local government units, they can generate immediately hazard assessment reports and as well as information necessary for their planning purposes and decision-making process, which is very important so that they can produce projects related to disaster risk reduction at a much easier way and as well as in an efficient manner, which we really need at the moment because we don't know when a typhoon or when an earthquake will strike us.
You know, this feels very timely considering we're actually still continuing our coverage of the recent earthquake in Myanmar and in Thailand. When you take a look at how this could actually help disaster preparedness in the country, you mentioned HazardHunter a while ago and listed down all its features. Do you feel that this could actually inform people more or maybe even educate them on what needs to be done to secure yung location nila, especially if their houses, their homes, or their workplaces are in particular areas of concern?
Yep. The reason that HazardHunter was produced or was developed was for us to be able to communicate well the hazards. First, for them to identify their location with respect to the nearest active fault. For example, if we are looking at earthquake hazards, um, we developed the fault finder, if you know about this already, back in 2016, but we thought that that would be limiting to just active faults information. So the Hazard Hunter PH not just gives the proximity or the location with respect to a known active fault, but also the recommendations that the public needs to employ. So, for example, if you click on the screen, you would know the proximity, your proximity with respect to fault, but then the recommendation also, what now if you're near a fault or far from the active fault.
Ms.
We
Mabelline,
also want to,
I'm sorry,
sorry.
I don't mean to interrupt you, but you also mentioned something that I really want to touch on as well. You mentioned that this could actually be used in terms of of making sure that your investments are sound, considering it is going to be some the natural hazards and of course the potential risks could actually impact the appetite for investment.
Yes. Actually, banks are already partnering with us to integrate the Hazard Hunter PH application into their own information systems because they see the value of actually evaluating assets with respect to their exposure level to natural hazard. So, for example, if a particular area is transected by a fault, they would have um, to require the borrowers mitigation plans and as well as preparedness plans. So not just fault, but as well as other hazards like floods or landslides.
All right, so now I want to talk about geoanalytics because you mentioned this is more geared towards the LGU. Just a bit of clarification there. Is it a tool for them to actually to be able to input data themselves, or is it supposed to be something that they are going to be able to use as a decision-making tool for whatever projects that they will end up doing in a given period of time?
So the GeoAnalytics PH actually has a back-end tool, which is the GeoMapper, where the local government can input their exposure information, meaning the location of their buildings or assets and other information that needs assessment. The GeoAnalytics is the front end application that shows us per barangay, for example, or municipality, city, and province, the exposure level of particular assets and even the population. It will show us the number of people per age and sex, if these are exposed to or not to a particular hazards. And from there, local government can actually formulate this science-based decision making
Yeah.
or decisions for their plans. So, for example, if they have more senior citizens and children, then they can actually create more facilities that would cater to this age group.
Mabelline, how excited are you to share these in Geneva and really showcase these works, these efforts to a wider public in the world?
Well, this is our first actually for PHIVOLCS. HazardHunter has a patent already, and this is the first for our institute. GeoAnalytics PH, we have applied for patent, and we are excited to actually share the technology to other countries because, as far as we know, there is no country yet that has integrated all the natural hazards information into one platform and at the tip of the finger, accessible to anyone. So Hazard Hunter and GeoAnalytics are actually free of charge and can be accessed by anyone, anywhere, as long as they have internet connection. So I think other countries will really learn a lot from us.
Well, Ms. Mabelline, we're really hoping that this does make a big difference and makes the world a safer place, considering the need, especially in the region as of late. Really appreciate your insights, sharing your expertise, and hopefully we hear more great things from these efforts in the upcoming future. Maraming salamat po. Thank you very much for joining us.
Sure. Thank you so much. Bye.